You might want to take a drive right past Costco. We're going to freaking kick the devil out of Bonney Lake and take it for Jesus. I got a lot to say tonight, so I better hurry up and get to be about it. Father in heaven, thank you so much for your word. It's alive, it's active, it's powerful. Now let our world be changed because of your word in Jesus' name. If you agree with that, say amen. Hey, up on the hill, South Hill, and in Bonney Lake in here, if this is your first, second, or third time, would you give us a wave so we can welcome you proper? Come on, would you welcome people first, second, third time? Welcome, hi. Hi, up in the balcony and up the two campuses, South Hill and Bonney Lake. We're glad that you're here, really. It's gutty. It's gutty to go to a new church. It's scary sometimes because you don't know what cuckoo things may happen inside of church. I mean, God isn't the UPS driver. You know what I'm saying? He's mystical. He's powerful. And sometimes people have a hard time connecting other people to him because he's just supernatural. Hey, can I just encourage you? If you have anything by way of a need, there's a God who's able to do it. Say this out loud with me. Say, I am an overcomer. I am not made to lose. I am created to win and be more than a conqueror through Christ Jesus. This is part 4 of our series entitled Overcomer. If you have not caught it, you need to catch up. Go ahead. Oh, hello, dear. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Not seen you for a while. Good to see you. I love seeing familiar faces because I've been out for 3 months fighting cancer, which we crushed, by the way. And cancer is out. And now I'm just mad. I'm just mad. The devil is such a punk, thinking he can just mess with God's kids. But when God's kids come back around, you better buckle up and put your mouthpiece in, devil, because, hey, I got one fist of iron and the other is steel, and if the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You know what I'm saying? If you've not caught these first 3 pieces of this series, I really encourage you to get it. This is part 4. It's entitled By Faith. Everyone say by faith. Because you see, if you're going to overcome the obstacle, if you're going to defeat the addiction, if you're going to be free of those marauding memories, if you're going to get over the hurdle of depression, despair, anxiety, and worry, if you're going to overcome, you must have faith. Everyone say, I must have faith. I remember when I was in the 8th grade. How many of you can remember that? How many of you blocked it out? Awkward time of life. Things are changing in the 8th grade. But I remember when I was in Coeur d'Alene, and we were playing this other junior high. I went to Lakes Junior High School, and there's another junior high school by the name of Canfield. And Canfield was like the athletic machinery school. Kids would get transfers, and they would go to Canfield. And I remember walking into the gym, and this team had 2, count them 2, 6'6" 8th graders. They had beards and drove their children to the basketball game. They were giants. Now, I was the biggest kid on my team. I was 5'10" in 8th grade. I was a manster, half man, half monster. 8th grade. These guys, these great big giants, they were, before the warm-up started, and they were all in their, dress shoes and dress clothes, they were dunking in their dress shoes. Oh, we were just freaked out. We're like, oh, my God. Are we in the right place? Is this the Los Angeles Lakers? Or is this Lakes Middle School? We didn't know who it was. And everybody was just geeking out. So we went into the locker room, and we were just so mesmerized by their height and prowess and athleticism that it was over before it started. Now, our coach was a Marine. Any Marines in the houses of God tonight? How many know there's no such thing as a former Marine? Just Marines. Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the green bird. Brave men. Don't you love our military soldiers, men and women across the world fighting for us? Well, my basketball coach in 8th grade was a Marine. Hoorah! And he didn't really talk. He more like barked in conversation. Conversationally. I think when he proposed to his fiancée, "Hey, you want to get married? Let's get married." That's how he asked her. And he saw the fear in our eyes, and he saw the looks on our faces, and he saw our shoulders slumping and our heads down. And he just came up to us, and he said, he got us all together and said, "Well, men, if you like, I can just go to the refs right now and tell them we forfeit. We can just tell them we just surrender before the game even begins. If you like, we can just pack up our bags and go back to Lake's grade middle school and just quit. We can forfeit. Hey, we can fight." What do you want to do? Do you want to forfeit or do you want to fight? This dude had this way with words and enthusiasm. We want to fight! We want to fight! For those whose puberty hadn't kicked in yet. Well, you can have some rah-rah mentality, but if you don't have a strategy, it doesn't really matter. Because here's what we know about tall guys and short guys. Now, here's what's crazy about it. Our team was super fast. I mean, we were like fast. Fast guys get slower. Tall guys don't get shorter. But big guys get slower faster. And he said, he got this whiteboard up, and he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to press them 94 feet. We're going to make them earn every inch of court. We're going to make them kick the ball into the third row and knock their grandma out and have to go to the hospital. We're going to press them, trap them, get the ball. Do you know that they had 30 turnovers by halftime? We ran them out of the gym. Ran them out. But here's the deal. Not until we believed did we even have a shot. What are you believing for your marriage? What are you believing for your sexual purity? What are you believing for your career? What are you believing for your classroom? What are you believing for your sports team? What are you believing God for? What is your faith being exercised to contend for until it arrives? Because if you don't believe, you ain't got a shot. You might as well forfeit. But if you would have faith, you can win. What do you believe about your circumstances and your God's ability in the midst of them? We're going to read out of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, it's interesting that there are 66 books in the Bible, 39 in the Old Testament, the literature that was written before the birth of Christ, and 27 books in the New Testament, the literature that was written after the resurrection of Christ. They were compiled in 323 AD at the Council of Nicaea under the inspiration of Roman Emperor Constantine. And out of the 1,800 pieces of literature that were written, these 66 books made the cut, called canonized scripture. Now, the word canon is a Greek word that means measuring stick. Because here's the deal, folks. We are measured by everything in this book. Not by what Vogue says, not by what L'Oreal says. We're measured by what this book says. Not by Gentleman's Quarterly, but by the Holy Spirit's inspired word. Now, interestingly enough, the book of Hebrews, we don't actually know who wrote the book of Hebrews. We can postulate and extrapolate data and maybe assume the Apostle Paul wrote it, but it's so unlike the other Pauline literatures, the other 13 books that he did write of the 27 in the New Testament, that people can't get consensus of who wrote it. Really not important at this juncture, other than it made the cut, it made the canon, and we're going to read it. If you're ready for God's word, say, I'm ready. In case you can't tell and you're new, I used to play sports and I was in the military too. Let's go. Hebrews 11. Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. It gives us assurance. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. Nobody sees your tomorrows. You You don't know how the government is going to institute different kinds of polity and policy and mandates across the country that we live in. You don't know how the earth is going to shape up 6 months from now. But what you can have an assurance of is this, that you can have faith in God, that no matter what the government and the political leaders say, if you stand with God, you stand on the winning squad. Everyone should say amen. Faith is confident. It's confidence that what we hope for will happen. It gives us an assurance about things we cannot see. Through their faith, the people in days of old earned a good reputation. Do you know it takes a lifetime to build a good reputation and a moment to destroy it? Your reputation matters, people. It matters what kind of son you are. It matters what kind of brother you are. It matters what kind of spouse you are. It matters what kind of boyfriend, girlfriend you are. It matters what kind of single person. Your reputation matters. Because for those of you that know God, your life is the only Bible some people will ever read. Your life, your reputation matters. By faith, we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command, that what we now see did not come from anything that can be seen. Now, we start going through the Hall of Faith in Canton, Ohio. There is the NFL Hall of Fame. This is the biblical Hall of Faith. Heroes, cast of characters you need to know. And if you don't know them, you need to know them. It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Now, what's the deal with that? We're going to get into it here in a moment. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man, and God showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel was long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith. It was by faith. Everyone say by faith. Come on, everyone say by faith. It was by faith that Enoch was taken up to heaven without dying. Can you imagine his wife making the missing persons report? Hello, I need to file a missing persons report. Yes, what's your husband's name? Enoch. Yeah, God took him. It was by faith that Enoch was taken up to heaven without dying. He disappeared because God took him. For before he was taken up, he was known as a person who pleased God. Can I just give you a little information here? It's in your best interest to please God. I'm just saying. The God who measures the universe from thumb to pinky and holds the waters of the earth in the hollow of his hand, if you have him as an ally, it doesn't matter what a governor mandates. You can stand bold and confident by faith if that's the size of your God. And it is impossible to please God without faith. Well, I gave some money to Greenpeace, and I hugged a tree, and I saved a whale, and I dug a well in Africa for the thirsty children. Good for you. If you think you've pleased God by that, you've missed the boat. It is impossible to please God without faith. Now, do all those, well, maybe don't, hug trees and kiss wells, but, do good stuff. Got to do good stuff. Because faith without works is dead, right? That's what Jesus' stepbrother said, James. It was by faith that Noah built a large boat to save his family from the flood. He obeyed God, who warned him about things that had never happened before. By his faith, Noah condemned the rest of the world and received the righteousness that comes by faith. It was by faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave and go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. Check this out. He went without knowing where he was going. I've talked to a lot of people in the last 4 months that have job relocations. Last one out of the state of Washington, please turn out the lights. But there's not one person that would just go to SeaTac and just kind of randomly look at the departing jets and go, that one. I don't know what I'm doing when I get there, but that one. God said, Abram, pack up your family, pack up your stuff, and get going. And then go to a land that I will show you. Crazy. Faith. And even when he reached the land God promised him, he lived there by faith, for he was like a foreigner living in tents. So did Isaac and Jacob, who inherited the same promise. Abraham was confidently looking forward to a city with eternal foundations, a city designed and built by God. I know, listen, I'm not going to come off as like faith is an easy thing, okay? Faith is not an easy thing. Faith is a hard thing. It's not complicated, it's just really hard. Do you follow me? Faith is not complicated, it's just super hard. But what worthwhile thing was ever easy? So I want to give you some helpful tools in your tool belt to build your faith. Are you ready to get your faith built? If you're ready, I say this. I want to get my faith built. Say it out loud. I'm an overcomer. If you're going to overcome, here's the deal. While in the waiting, we bring our best to God. Because some of you right now, hey, listen, up at South Hill, Bonney Lake, people that are watching online all over the world, people that are downtown here at Puyallup, right now, you're in the biggest waiting room in the universe called your life. Don't you love it when you're in the waiting room at the doctor's office? How long am I going to be here? I showed up Thursday. It's next Wednesday. When do I see my doctor? I mean, waiting room. You're getting your car fixed. When? 2022? Serious? Some of you right now, hey, I'm telling you prophetically, some of you are waiting for a spouse. You're waiting to be married. Some of you are waiting for someone to bring you an apology that crushed you, and it hasn't come yet, and you're just living with turmoil and pain. Some of you are waiting for that new job promotion because you've just applied yourself. Some of you are waiting to get that scholarship, to get into that school, because that's on your heart. But can I tell you what you need to do if you're going to live by faith? While you're in the waiting, bring your best to God. Don't wait to get your moments. Oh, now, God, now that I've complained about you, slandered you, cussed you out, told you what I feel about you, now I will worship you. Thanks a lot. See, it was by faith that Abel was considered righteous. Now, I did the family tree of Adam, Eve, Cain, and their kids, Cain, Seth, and Abel. Here's what's interesting about Abel. There's no family tree after him because he got murdered by his brother Cain. Cain murdered his brother. Why? Because he was jealous. Because of the sacrifice. Now, Abel was the first, he was the first rancher. He had livestock. Cain was the first farmer. He had produce, right? And God accepted Abel's sacrifice but rejected Cain's. Why? Is it because he's a carnivore? No. It's because Abel brought the very best of his flocks. The very best. And you know what Cain brought? The leftovers. Remember when you were a kid and you asked your mom, "What's for dinner, Mom?" Leftover meatloaf with packaged gravy. Cold, frozen solid. You're going to eat it like a popsicle. Leftovers. I'm tired. Can I go to Tommy's? They're having pizza. You know, remember leftovers? But do you remember, like, not leftovers when the meal was, like, righteous? Like, oh, Mom, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. Way to go. You rock, Mom. Cain brought leftovers, but Abel brought the best. It made Cain jealous, so Cain killed his brother. You see, those of you that are not new, that know where I've been, for the last 18 months, I've been woken up every day with ABEL with level 7 plus pain every day. Every day. I had a knee that blew out, so I had knee surgery. That knee surgery failed. I had to have a knee replacement. Then I recovered from the knee replacement thing, and it was horrible and horrific. Then all of a sudden, oh, hello, now I have cancer. Oh, great. You get to go through all that mess. And then, okay, yep, you're going to have to do surgery and gut you. And so they gutted me, and I went through surgery, and then I went through recovery of surgery. And so for 18 months, I have been living in chronic pain every single day. I'd be woken up by pain. I would sometimes have just tears in my eyes on my pillow because it just hurt so bloody bad to wake up in the morning. Our anniversary was August 26th. We've been married for 33 years. We're just trying it out. I think it's going to take, I'm going to give it another 33 and then we'll come to a decision. But I had to have Tina drive because I was in so much pain. We drive up to Bellevue to go to dinner. I sit down. Now, I couldn't physically sit down because whenever I'd sit down, it would compress all those things that they did cutting that stuff out of me, and it just triggered all this inflammation, level 10 pain. I sat down for 5 minutes at our dinner. I said, honey, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to go home. I climbed in the back of our car, curled up, and wept from Bellevue back to Bonney Lake. And happy anniversary. But not one time did I ever ask, why me? I only ask, now what? I only ask, now what? Because here's the deal. The compassion that grew out of my misery was not in my possession. Do you know what happened Wednesday? I woke up with zero pain for the first time in a year and a half. But every day, I'd be like, God, by faith, I pray for my knee. God, by faith, I pray you would eradicate this cancer. God, by faith, I pray that you would help these I would lay hands on my head every day, just pray every day. And I never said, why me? And I'm not going to be holier than thou and make you think that I had no issues. Man, I got low. It got dark. It got discouraging. But like Abel, I just wanted to keep giving God my best. I wanted to do my devotions. I wanted to give money to take the hill. I wanted to pay my tithes. I wanted to teach my small group. I wanted to preach at the church. I wanted to give my God my very best because my God gave his very best for me at the cross. How can I give him any less? Hey, overcomer in the making. What are you giving to God? Is he getting your very best, or is he getting complaining, whining, and why-me's? I'm just asking, because here's the deal. If you can come to a place that even in the middle of your pain, God will cook all that stuff together and create something beautiful in his place. Number two, I think this is true, that while circumstances might be bleak, we don't blame God. If you're going to be a person of faith that helps you overcome, you've got to just monitor what it is that comes out of your mouth when you're not doing well. When you're not doing well, does God get the blame or does God get the glory? What does God get? Does he get the blame? It's all your fault. Don't you see what I'm doing? I mean, if anybody has a reason to blame God, it would be me. Don't you see I came to Puyallup and planted a church and sacrificed and gave my minivan away. And I gave all this money. I'm so good for you. No. There's nothing good in me. Nothing. The only thing good in me is Jesus. And before he got there, I was a scumbag. I'm not much better because I still got all my flesh with that good spirit stuff. While your circumstances may look bleak, don't blame God. Hey, listen, Enoch, right? We talked about Enoch. Okay, so Enoch was taken. But do you know who Enoch's father was? Cain. Can you imagine the Thanksgiving table conversation? Hey, Grandma, where's Uncle Abel? Yeah, your dad killed him, so he's not going to be making it anytime soon. Hey, you know what? If your family is a white picket fence, awesome situation, good for you because you worked hard and you deserve it. But you know what? Less than 50% of our families in America have not gone through divorce. Less than 50%. And sometimes your family situation might be a bit sketch. You might have this estranged relationship with a sibling or a parent or an uncle, you might have this situation where it's contentious and it's fighting, and it's just hard for you to just even worship in church because you have all this family dynamic. Listen, unless your uncle murdered his brother and that was God's chosen favorite one, while the circumstances might be bleak, we don't blame God. We don't blame God. I can honestly say that I've endeavored with my mouth never to blame God. I know that sometimes things look poopy in your world, but you know what poop is? Fertilizer. And I'm not sure why God made feces to make food taste better. It seems a bit paradoxical. But that's what God made. So if you're having a fertilizer season, need I say more? This should be PG-13 at least. If you're having a fertilizing season, just know that God is using that to make you flavorful, bountiful, and productive. Hey, overcomer in the making. Are you blaming God or believing God? Because your faith is a shield against the shellacking. Your faith is a shield. Hey, you better buckle up, sunshine. Because the world that we live in right now is getting prepped and groomed for the second coming of Christ, when 2 billion people are going to be taken off the earth in the rapture of the church. And it's going to be explained away by the Antichrist. And the system is moving at light speed right now. It's coming. It's coming. And the Antichrist is going to explain it. I kind of had this thought. Like, how is the Antichrist going to explain 2 billion people leaving the earth? The alien argument is going to arise, and it's going to make perfect sense. And by the way, we know that there are aliens. We know that it's 1/3 of the angels that were eradicated out of heaven. They are the Nephilim that had sex, the demons of fallen angels had sex with people in the Genesis chapter 4. Those people had children and they became renowned. We know that that's true. That's biblical truth. It's going to be explained. And so here's the deal. If your faith is not strong, you're going to get shellacked. But if your faith is strong, you will withstand the blast and you will overcome. Someone say amen. Number 3, I think that if your faith is going to get built, while it may seem ridiculous, faith in God releases the miraculous. And the more ridiculous, the more miraculous. The more ridiculous, the more miraculous. Let's go back to Noah. Now, Noah was a dude that lived in the book of Genesis, in the very first Bible, chapters of the Bible. And it took God 4 chapters to make the whole cosmos, and 1 chapter to go like, what did I just do? Nuke it all. So God comes to his boy Noah and says, wooka, 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 wooka. Hey, no, what you know now? I got a mission for you, boy. What's up, God? I want you to build a boat. Okay. Yeah, it needs to be 450 feet long. It needs to be 75 feet wide and 45 feet high. Basically half the size of the Titanic. And I want you to start now. And by the way, it's going to take you 40 years. Okay. Why is that so ridiculous? Because it hadn't yet rained on the earth. There had been no rain. And so people were walking up saying, hey, no, what you doing, bro? I'm building a boat. What's a boat? It's a flotation device, and we're all gonna get in it and live, and you're all gonna die. And by the way, we're gonna get all the animals 2 by 2 on the earth and carry them to safety, and we'll all live, and you're all gonna be dead in 40 years. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. But aren't you glad that Noah didn't delay? He just started hammering, started framing, started planing the wood. Now, there's an interesting study that's been done by 2 grad students at Stanford. There's a law of buoyancy, and I can't remember the guy's name. It's a famous law. Any nautical person would know it. It's a law of buoyancy, a guy's name. Anyone? South Hill? But they postulated that it's possible to have 70,000 animals on that boat and still be buoyant and float. It was their thesis paper. It hadn't rained, people. He was a fool. Can you imagine being the kids of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth? Hey, Ham. What? No, just kidding. What's your dad doing? He's building a boat. But there's no water. I know, but there will be in 40 years. Yeah, you can't come to my house tomorrow because my dad says your dad's whack. Then all of a sudden, by the way, the flood waters didn't come from top down, they came from bottom up. The earth cracked like an egg, and it was a reverse flood. And the waters were 22 feet above Mount Everest across the earth. While it might seem ridiculous, faith in God releases the miraculous. Hey, overcomer in the making. What's the last ridiculous thing you did for God? When's the last time you stepped out in faith at your school and said, this is my Bible, it is true, join me. Let's read it together. Come on, students. When's the last time you got around your flagpole at school with your buddies and said, we're going to pray. We're going to call down heaven on this place. We will be the shield. I just tell you, by the way, the church is the last bastion of safety for the earth. We are the shield that keeps the hounds of hell at bay. The local church, that's it. That's why Jesus came to build it, because we are here right now giving any bit of sanity that's on the earth is from having the church be here. When's the last time at work you got a guy or a gal and just said, hey, we have a read-through we do at our church. It's called SOAP. Let's do this mechanism of devotions. It's on our website, super easy. Let's do it. When's the last time you stepped out in faith and did something super, ridiculous for God? I remember I was 18 years old, and I gave my life to Jesus. And I was spun. I was flipped. I flipped. I flipped a script. I'm on a highway to hell. I was going there quick with roller skates with no toe stops going downhill. That was real. Get saved. I read that this dude Jesus, because I thought it was a Latino guy. I was reading about who's Jesus? Hey, if you don't know, you don't know, It's cool. Socially integrating. But I saw where he walked on water, defied physics. I go, well, Jesus said, greater things shall you do through my name. So I got all my buddies from the football team, the basketball team, track team, and all the people in my ASB. I said, hey, everybody show up at the KOA campground. I'm going to walk across the water. I'm going to do it. And so there's literally a couple hundred people at the KOA campground after school. And there's this little footbridge. In my innocence, I stepped over the railing, and I'm holding on there, and I said, now, watch this. I don't understand it, but you're all loved by God. Who wants a piece of this? I got to preach my first sermon at the KOA campground in 4.5 feet of water. 11 people got saved. 11. What's the last ridiculous thing you did for God? Yeah, that was hard to get your mind around it. Fourth and finally, I believe if you're going to be an overcomer full of faith, while it seems he may tarry, God is never tardy. While it seems, that word tarry means to delay. While it seems he may delay, while it seems he may tarry, He's never tardy. Never. God is never early. God is never late. Let's go back to Abraham. Abraham, by the way, used to be called Abram. And in this book, whenever you were born, you weren't given your name till age 12. I would be known as son of Skip Archer. I didn't get my name till my bar mitzvah for boys or bas mitzvah for girls. And then by your characteristics, you were given a name. You wanted to be a good kid because you didn't want a dorky name at your bar mitzvah. You know what I'm saying? Hey, idiot face. Yeah, that's me. Jeez, I should have done better at 9. Abram means father. Now, he was a shepherder. He was a shepherd. And all these shepherds were like, they did life together in groups. Hello, groups weekend. Do you like that little pitch I did there, Alan? They did life together in groups. Like that, Shuey? Getting groups going. Now, you would go to these wells occasionally where the watering would happen, and you would just share your name. And everyone would go like, hey, what's your name? They would say your name, and you would say your name, and then it would be like, oh, that's pretty cool. That means that, and this means this, and that means this, and Azariah, Ananiah, Mishael. What's your name? Abraham. Whoa. Abraham. See, God at age 45 changed his name from Abram to Abraham. I guess he had a nurturing spirit as a kid, so he got named Abram, meaning father. Even at age 12, he had that nurturing patriarchal sense. But at 45, God changed his name from Abram to Abraham, meaning the father of many nations. Now, in this culture that this book is written in, the more children you have, the more blessed you are by God. The less children you have, the more cursed you are by God. At age 45, God says, I'm going to give you so many descendants, so like they'll be like the sand of the seashore. Can't even count them all. Azariah, Mishael, Hananiah, Zechariah, Zephaniah, Haggai. What's your name? Abraham. Woo. Father of many nations. How many kids you got? Yeah, none. What? Yeah, none. Yeah, but your name's Abraham. I know. God's on his way. Dude, don't know if you noticed, but you're 45. You got no kids yet? That conversation would have gotten old the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years. But can you imagine the first 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 6 decades? He's now 100 years old. Have you been to many retirement homes? Not a lot of maternity wards. For obvious reasons. "45 years old. Promised. He's 100 years old. And you know what happened at age 100? God gave his 90-year-old wife, Sarah, a child. And they named him Isaac. God is never early, and God is never late. He is right on time. He's moving the chess pieces around and getting ready to get you into your best point of reference so that you can launch and maximize those opportunities. When I played college football, my quarterback's name was Phil Bradley. Some of you might know that name. He played center field for the Mariners. He didn't go the football route. He went the baseball route. But I was his receiver, and the dude kept throwing early to me. And I'm like, dude, let me get out of my break, man. Let me get my head around. You know what I'm saying? Let me have an opportunity to just, get that head snapped around so that I can literally catch the ball. I was just giving him business. So it goes fine. Next series I come out, do this down and in, plant my foot at 10 yards. I'm going across, and he's late. Because see, in football, everything's about timing. It's about timing. You don't throw to where the person is, you throw where they're going to be. And you can't wait until they're past that point where they're going to be, or you're going to hurt them. I lost my shoulder in my football career in one play because my quarterback's timing was late. Can I just tell you, God is never early and God is never late. God is right on time. There are 3 Greek words for the word time. Chronos, where we get chronology, what time is it? Kurios, the timing of your life. And then hura, the season that you're in. Don't you know that God has the perfect time and the perfect timing in the perfect season to make your dreams come true if you only have faith? And it may seem like he's waiting, sugar, but let me promise you, he's never early, he's never late. He's right on time. So, overcomer in the making. Do you need a vaccine against despair and discouragement? Yeah, it's called faith. And you don't got to worry about FDA because you got GDA. God definitely approved. Because when you have faith, he approves of you. You please him. And when you please him, he makes things happen out of nothing. I want to invite, if you would, to bow your head and close your eyes with me tonight across our campuses. You know, maybe, just maybe, you're a person that you've never asked Jesus to come into your heart. I'm not going to assume anybody within the sound of my voice has done that. I'm going to assume no one. But here's the tragedy. Maybe a long time ago you did that, but life got hard and you lost your faith. God didn't leave you, but you left him. You can't lose your salvation, but you can give it away if you don't want it anymore. It's called prodigal. But this is what I believe across our campuses and across Motion Church. God is bringing people sovereignly to his side for the last hour of human history. And trust me when I tell you, you want to be on this squad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an opportunity to say yes to Jesus. If you want to give your life to him or recommit your life to him and come back home, when I say now, I'm going to simply invite you to lift up your hand, and that's going to be your shot to make it right. You ready? I mean, I can't even imagine why. I'm a pretty intelligent guy. It doesn't even register why everybody would not want to get on the boat called the ark. Because the flood's coming, baby. Hey, there were people that mocked Noah for 40 years. You ready to make that move to God? Here comes that word. It's coming in when I say 3. 1, 2, 3. Come on, right now. Put your hand high into the air and say, here I am, Pastor. Yeah, come on. Can you welcome people all across our campuses giving their life to Jesus? Hey, this is a wonderful celebration because hell lost souls he thought he had. Punk, you're done. We praise your name, Jesus. And now, with everyone's head bowed and everyone's eyes closed, here's my question. How's your faith? How's your faith? You got it? Is it rocking? Is it cracking? Are you cocked and locked and ready to rock? Are you just rocking this thing called faith? Or maybe, just maybe, your faith is taking a hit and your chin is a little down, your shoulders are a little slumped, your posture's a little bit waning. Maybe you need to have an infusion of faith. Hey, Jesus said this, he gives liberally. He gives faith liberally to all who ask of it. So I want to invite everyone to stand to their feet across our campuses. And at the end of our services across all of our spaces, if you want prayer, we'll have our deacons and our pastors at the front of the room to pray with you and pray for you. But in the meantime, right now, I want to invite you, if you would, to just put your hands in front of you, palms up, as a point of surrender and worship. Our worship teams are going to lead us. Our campus pastors are going to come, and we're going to solidify and settle the powerful working hand of the faithful God. Are you ready to worship Jesus tonight? Come on, let's sing this out to the Lord. Come on.